Today on iConnect, I'm joined by Julian Wharam, a teacher, broadcaster, and someone living with ocular melanoma. Julian is used to telling stories and helping others make sense of the world around them, but his own diagnosis brought him into a very different kind of conversation, one where uncertainty, resilience, and perspective take on a whole new meaning. In this episode, we talk about what it's really like to live with a rare cancer, how he's navigated that alongside his work and identity, and the role that communication, community, and support have played along the way. Hi, Julian. It's a pleasure to have you join me today on iConnect.
It's a thrill to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
You're looking incredibly well. I take it you're making the most of this beautiful weather we've got.
Yes, at the time of recording, the sun is shining and it's absolutely glorious, which gives you a real boost, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it was quite so much of a boost when you got this diagnosis, was it? Can you take us back a little bit? How long ago was it and how did it come about?
Sure, yeah. There's a story to share here, and I wonder how many people watching this might be able to relate in some way. So we're almost at the 3-year anniversary point since this all started. So about 3 years ago, I was teaching in, I teach in a high school, and I was teaching my favorite class. Now, I will say that as a teacher, every class you teach is your favorite class, but this one that year really was my favorite class. And
what subject are you teaching your favorite class?
I was teaching my favorite class, geography.
Okay.
They were GCSE students, so they were building up to their exams. And I remember it clearly. It was a sunny day, just like it is today. And they were all working away, and I was at the front of the classroom. And without any warning or any other sensation, I started seeing lightning bolts across my right eye. Now, this is my affected eye here. And they were bright, the kind of white or blue color lightning bolts. And it was so dramatic that I had to sit down because I felt a little bit queasy with it. And I just sat down quietly at the desk, hoping no one would notice. And I don't think anyone did notice, which is
gives you faith, doesn't it?
Yeah. So either that's the measure of my control over the class, or their work ethic, or perhaps a sign of how often teachers look a little bit giddy and have to sit down and get their breath back in the corner. And it passed over, but being an inquisitive kind of fellow, I Googled it straight away. Just seeing lightning in my vision. What could this be? And it said, maybe you've had a stroke. Could be eye cancer. Could be nothing.
But it did come up with eye cancer, did it?
Straight away. Yeah. This is good old Dr. Google. It was the top three: stroke, cancer, or nothing. And I thought,
not retinal detachment. No, that didn't come up.
No, not with that. Not with the initial search. And so I thought, well, it's not going to be anything serious. I'm a healthy person. Those things aren't going to apply. Anyway, spin the clock forward a few weeks, actually. And by July, August, I was seeing a purple spot in my vision in this eye.
So you didn't go to the doctor or the optician at this point of the lightning bolts? Oh,
no. I was in full on bloke mode. I thought, no. If I don't think about it, it'll go away.
It'll go away.
And that was the way I played it at the time. But when this dot appeared, it was like someone had shone a bright torch right in my eye, and you get that purple dot afterwards, except it didn't go away, and it stayed for about a week, and it was really bothering me. I thought, this really isn't right. So I Googled it again, and I've got this big purple dot in my vision. What could it be? And as I started reading, it said maybe you had lightning bolts as well. I thought, yes, I did. Carried on searching a bit deeper. This could be a stroke again, came up. It could be eye cancer again. I thought, oh. So what I did, and I remember it distinctly, my wife and I, we were up in Yorkshire visiting my mother-in-law, and we were at a hotel, and I'd had some problem with one of the car tyres, and I said, I've just got to go and check that car tyre while you two were talking. And so I went out to the car park, and I did legitimately pump up the tyre, but I was also on my phone, back on Google again, looking at the symptoms in a bit more detail, and all of the advice was, get seen, go and see somebody. And so I waited. I didn't want everybody to worry, so I didn't say anything, kept it to myself a couple more days. But as soon as we got back, I was on my way to a wedding function, because I do a bit of DJing for weddings at the weekend sometimes, as you do. And I was driving to it, and this dot was still there, and I thought, no, I'm just going to have to pull in for a minute. I can't bear this. So I phoned NHS 111, and that was a turning point. And suddenly there was absolutely no messing. Once I'd described my symptoms, the operator said, "We want you to go and see your local eye clinic today. Don't leave it another day. Go today."
So they didn't send you to A&E, interestingly. They actually sent you to an
No,
eye hospital.
an eye
Okay.
clinic.
Eye clinic.
So there I was. I was halfway on a drive to this wedding, which happened to be 2 hours away down near London. And I thought, well, there's no one else to cover me. What do I do? I'm going to have to go ahead and do this thing. You know, I can't let down a wedding function just because I've got a speck of light in my eye. So I did the wedding, and I thought, well, I may as well enjoy myself while I'm here. So I was playing the tunes, having a good time, hands in the air, all of that. And then driving home in the dark, I could see the dot even more brightly, and I thought, this is getting in the way. So I did a detour, and I drove to A&E as soon as I got back home at 2 in the morning.
Wow.
On Saturday night. I thought, well, they're going to be open. At least, you know, someone will be there. And
did you
so
tell your wife you were going to go, or you just was she asleep?
I did.
Okay.
I said, "Love, I've got something to tell you. I've just taken a bit of a detour." And she was in full support, because I'd told her I'd phoned 111 earlier in the afternoon. So the wheels were turning, and they had a look, and they said, "Right, we're going to book you into the eye clinic when it reopens Monday morning." I thought, oh no, there's another 2 days to wait. And I went to the eye clinic, and I remember it really clearly, kind of spookily clearly. I was in a waiting room. I've never been there before. And there were lots of little consultation rooms around the edges of the waiting room, like these things are designed. And
Is this a local hospital, Julian?
Local-ish, yeah, about half an hour away. Yeah,
Okay.
back in my home county.
Yeah.
And there was this one of the optometrists who was this Eastern European accent was coming through, and he was this kind of character who was bouncing around all the time and making all the patients laugh and easing everybody's nerves. And I was really grateful for that. And he was the guy who saw me, and he sat me in front of his microscope thing, and he's peering into my eyes. And he said, "Has anyone ever mentioned this nevus at the back of your eye?" I said, "Oh, what? Sorry, it's nevus, like a freckle." And I said, "Yeah, about, I don't know, 5 years ago, a high street optician, they said they would, you know, do you know about it? And they would keep an eye on it." He said, "Did they refer you?" I said, "No." Right, "They didn't refer you." Anyway, he became very animated. And I thought, okay, this isn't good either. And he had a close look, and he said, "Yeah, I really," all of his banter stopped. He became very serious. He said, "I want to have a really close look." So he zoomed in and took some photos. And then I sat in front of the consultant, and she said, "Yeah, I think you have a choroid melanoma." I'd never heard of a choroid. I didn't know what one of those was. And I didn't really know what a melanoma was either, but there was a bell ringing, and she went to her office to the side and said to the clerk sitting there, "This man has a choroid melanoma. Can you refer him to specialist support up in Liverpool?" Which I thought, okay, well, that's 3 hours away from where I live. Why aren't they sending me to Liverpool? And she came back and said, "Yeah, this is what we think it is. They'll be in touch in 2 weeks. Good luck." And I thought, good luck for what? So the alarm bells were ringing louder and louder. And of course, the first thing I did when I left, I Googled it on my phone, still in the hospital, Googled it quick, what's a choroid melanoma? And it said it's this aggressive type of eye cancer. And the blood just drained from my body. And I felt like I was kind of floating. And there was a moment standing outside the hospital, watching the cars go by. The sun was still shining. And I thought, the world has suddenly changed. For everybody else who I'm looking at, it's exactly how it was half an hour ago. But for me, what the heck do I do with this? Just trying to process it.
Were you alone? Were you on your own when you went to the appointment?
Yeah, I was on my own, because even then I was just very much, oh, it'll be fine. Everyone doesn't need to come. And my wife was at home, and the two of the kids were around, and we were going to go out for a meal because it was our wedding anniversary the same day. And I got home, and I said to my wife, "Just come out for a walk with me for a minute." And she looked at me. We never go out for a walk. Why do we?
We haven't got a dog.
Yeah, unless it's walking the dog or going for a walk to the pub.
Yeah.
No, come with me, come with me. And so I had to tell her. I said, look, they've diagnosed this thing, and there was this moment where we both looked at each other, and I think both of our hearts broke at the same moment. It was a real life changer, and we decided, okay, let's try and digest this. And I tell you what, we're not cancelling our dinner tonight. So we went out for the dinner, the four of us, and had a nice time, balloons and Prosecco and all the rest of it. I thought, well, we're not going to cancel it for this. But what happened next was the longest 2 weeks of our lives, I think, waiting to be contacted by the team of specialists who then got me up there and diagnosed it their way and then mapped out a program of treatment for me. So it was a real life changer.
Did they tell you why they were sending you to Liverpool? Was it just a geographic? There's only 4 kind of main centres that deal with it. So geographically, was that what was best for you?
I don't think it was. I think there's one in Sheffield, and you're right, there are several. I don't know why they chose Liverpool, but that was fine. They explained to me that was the centre of specialism. That was where the expertise is. And it certainly is. I mean, I've been so impressed with the support, the insights, just the sheer medical and scientific knowledge these guys have is just phenomenal. And until this all happened, of course, I never even knew that they existed or did what they do. It's incredible.
No, it really puts them on the map, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what treatment were you given? So we get a choice of treatments. It's a little bit like a kind of smorgasbord. What treatment were you given?
Well, we sat down with the professor, and he spoke through a range of options. And he's very clever. I think basically he was kind of guiding us to a certain route, but he said, these are the things we could do. We could either do nothing and just watch it and see if it gets worse, because I was fortunate that it was quite a small one, apparently, caught early. He said we could either do nothing and just watch it, or we can do something called a proton beam, which is a type of radiation which will try and wither this thing away, or we can do something called brachytherapy, which is putting a disc behind it for a few days, which puts radiation onto it to kill it that way. We don't think it's serious enough to talk about removing the eye yet. That might come further down the road. And I thought, oh my God, what is happening here? What am I being presented with? And so we went for the proton beam therapy, which was an interesting experience. So they had to put these metal markers behind my eye around the melanoma, the tumor itself. And they described that as creating a dartboard for the proton beam. And so I went in for that operation. So they put me out for that while they did what they did. And I emerged the other side, all bandaged up. And I remember when I came around, my wife was there as well. She was downstairs having a coffee. And when I woke up, I remember just coming around, just quite suddenly, actually, just ping, I was back awake again. And the nurses, they said, can we get you something to drink? And I just kind of peering through one eye, just could I have a large glass of Sauvignon Blanc, please?
Gin and tonic, yes.
Yeah. And they laughed and I laughed, and I thought, oh, all right, so far so good. I didn't get the glass of wine. They gave me some water, so that was okay. And then I was taken back to the ward and picked up, and my wife was brought to kind of escort me out. And she said, Jules, you were just floating. You were just like, hello. whatever drugs they'd given me was still obviously, I was high as a kite, and got me back to the hotel. So that was the first part. And then I think it was 4 weeks after that, we were back in Liverpool again for the actual proton treatment itself, the proton beam, which is just the most phenomenal thing.
It's now one heck of a machine, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, before we before we went, I went onto the BBC website and I watched the videos which Rory had recorded.
Yeah.
Very distinguished journalist and presenter, and I was really pleased to watch those to see where I was going. It was that same place, and to see what lay in store. And this machine was, I think, if I've got this right, it was built in the 1970s. There's only one in the country. Breaks down all the time, so you've got to have your fingers crossed if it's going to be working well on the day that you're there. I thought, oh Christ, should I put 50p in the meter as well? 25 meters long, and this thing called a proton beam, which I then found out was the same kind of device they use in the Ghostbusters films, which I got very excited about. I thought, oh, I can connect with that somehow. And so we went for the mask fitting, this kind of hockey mask, which is sculpted to my head, and they strap you in this, it's like a dentist chair, except you're properly strapped in, including your head, so you don't move. And they explained, look, this proton beam is this tiny little ray of light that's going to shine into your eye for 30 seconds a day for a week. You won't hear anything, you won't feel anything, but you've got to look at it, and you mustn't move your eye in any other direction, and this mask will help keep your head still. And you have to stare at this little red dot that appears. So this 25-meter machine is maneuvered right up in front of your head. It's right in front of your eye, and you look at this little red dot. And then it's like something out of like a nuclear war film. This siren goes off. All of the staff vacate the room that you're in, which is in an underground bunker anyway.
Lead lined, literally.
I thought, okay, so they've gone running, and I'm strapped in a chair, and I ain't going anywhere. Facing this machine, and then the light shines on, and there was this kind of eerie, kind of pink neon glow in my eye for 30 seconds. And to keep me calm, there's this breathing thing on my smartwatch, which makes you breathe in and out, and it vibrates when it's time to breathe in and double vibrates when it's time to breathe out. So I set that to 15 minutes before I went in. So I was kind of using that to regulate my breathing, looking at this dot. And then that was it. You go back to the hotel that they'd arranged, and then go back the next day and do the same thing again. And by the end of the week, that was it. Done.
Job done. And off you go.
Yeah.
How did you feel? Did you feel physically? I mean, the whole how do you feel mentally is a totally another question. How did you feel physically after proton beam? Did you feel any fatigue or anything? Headaches?
The fatigue came afterwards, and I think it was a cumulative reaction or response to what we'd been through. I think I was riding on adrenaline throughout the week. And we were very well looked after. We were put in a very nice hotel nearby, driven there and back in a taxi each day. So our needs were cared for. So there was a real cushion there. And my reaction to that was to do daft things. And my wife was great. She knew exactly what I needed to distract me. She bought me some Lego.
Okay.
And so we just sat there in the hotel room. I was just making some Lego. She'd be reading a book in the corner. We'd go down to the hotel bar in the evening, have something to eat, have a drink, and it was okay. It was all right. Yeah. That kept me calm. And we're just messing about. And I was bought one of these Star Wars lightsaber replica things, and I was 5 a.m, unable to sleep in this hotel. Rather than lying there fretting, I was out there with this illuminated lightsaber thing, twizzling it about and practicing some moves, just being daft and just using humor in a way that it was like a medicine in its own right, actually. Just doing
it's amazing what you can pull out of the depths of despair, isn't it? It really is. How old are your children, Julian?
Oh, gosh. Eldest 27, 28.
Okay.
Youngest 18. So there's a span of ages.
And how did they cope with your diagnosis? Did you tell them everything?
I've told, okay, not everything, because even now, 3 years later, I'm still delving into whatever I can find online and keep up to date with the latest. So, I don't overshare. I mean, my wife and I, we joke that our parents tell us nothing. They tell us nothing about their health predicaments until it's been dealt with and they're out the other side right?
Yeah. Or
And
it's
so,
too late.
yeah, or it's too late. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so we don't share everything. The day of my initial diagnosis, our two daughters were here, and so we told them because they were here face to face.
Okay.
Everyone else found out a bit later. And you give a potted summary. I don't know. I feel like who wants to know all of it? Certainly me and my wife Rachel do. You know, we talk about it all in depth, and we drop little breadcrumbs here and there, but leave it open to people if they're interested. You know, they could find out, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can drip feed a small amount of information.
Yeah.
You can also tell people not to look everything up on Google because every
Right.
single one of us is different with this diagnosis.
Yeah.
That's one thing I have learned from interviewing people, from making friends in the kind of Facebook group, having support meetings and stuff. Everybody's journey is very different. All the
Yeah.
tumors are in a slightly different place. Everybody's got a slightly different issue after their treatment, whether it's a complete removal of the eye or I had plaque, you had proton beam. Now, what vision have you got left?
Okay. So this is. It's changing all the time. I spoke to the professor about it when we were last there in the new year, and I was saying, look, do I need some glasses or something to help me with this? Because I'm really struggling with both eyes, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, no. He said, in your case, your vision is changing by the hour in both eyes. You'll have a dozen different pair of glasses, all with different lenses in, because one pair isn't going to keep up for you. So my left eye, my good eye, it is overdoing it and gets tired.
Mm-hmm.
My right eye is just a shambles, really. It's all over the place. Sometimes it can be clear as a bell for half an hour. Absolutely clear as a bell. I
With
think,
no
right.
blind spots at all? You've
Oh
got
yeah,
no...
notwithstanding the blind spot.
Okay.
But the rest of the peripheral vision can be clear. And then half an hour later, it's all clouded over. So for example, right now, if I do this and cover my good eye, so looking at my computer screen now, I'm looking directly at the camera at the top of my screen. I can't see you or me. So we're down in the screen. So
Yeah.
it's just like a grayed out screen. And around the edges, everything is kind of foggy.
Mm-hmm.
And if I bring my left eye back, yeah, it's kind of this scatter effect I see around the edges. Yesterday, I drove to the shop, 10 minutes round the corner. By the time I got to the shop and got in the shop and looking at all the displays and all of the aisles of food and produce, it was just crazy. It was a mess. So
What, you just couldn't
sometimes,
see properly?
no, that was it. Just the physical act of concentrating on the driving
Yeah.
tired out this eye to the extent I just had to stop. Sometimes I'll get shooting pains as a warning sign that it's had enough. Sometimes I've just got to stop and close my eyes and just sit down and just wait for a while for it to settle back down again.
Do you get
Um,
flashes at all?
Sometimes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had quite a few over Christmas actually. And the lightning was back over
Oh,
Christmas.
gosh.
Yeah, so I had to speak to the specialists in the new year
Yeah.
because, of course, I did what everyone says you shouldn't do. I was straight into Google. In the middle of the night, well, the lightning is back. What does this mean? Has it reactivated? Because
Yeah.
you learn things all the time that these things can reactivate and they can come
Yeah.
back and grow in a different way. They told me, yeah, you've got one in your left eye as well, which might also activate at some point. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Oh,
So
great. Right.
you have got a freckle in your left eye as well, have you?
Yep. Yeah. One in
Oh,
each. Which
okay.
apparently, these are the things you pick up on Google. Apparently, many of us do. I think about 2/3 of adults do anyway. And it's just a case of, are you the one in a million which turns into something unpleasant?
Yeah, it's a
So,
shame it wasn't the lottery ticket. Hey, Julian.
well, it's not for the want of trying.
No, I know. It's like, my goodness, if I've got this, then my
Yeah.
odds are,
Yeah.
I can be that special person. Has it bothered you with work? I mean, you've mentioned your school work, but you are a radio broadcast host. You are a fellow podcaster. How am I doing, by the way? No, I'm joking.
This is great.
Radio.
Yeah.
It sounds ridiculous. of course you need your eyes. You are using computer screens the whole time. It's
Mm.
not just, it's not an in-vision thing, unless your programs are recorded. I don't know. Do you live stream?
No, I do a weekly show for a local community station, and I love it because it's live. There is the option to pre-record, but I do love doing live radio. You know, it's you, the studio, the audience. You don't quite know which way it's going to go. I think if it was pre-recorded, I'd be tying myself in knots. I'd be wanting every time I spoke, I'd be wanting perfection. The podcasts I do, they take me days and days and days because it's not live, and I listen. I think, oh no, maybe I should have done it like this. Maybe I should have done it like that. But live radio is a real joy, and live radio is something I've done since I was about 16, I think, when I started doing live radio. It's a long time. And I
Okay.
like just the excitement of doing that. What I find is, I think with the vision issue, I'm disappearing more into my head, and that's improving my spoken communication. It's like a different set of skills is becoming more enhanced as another set of skills, my vision, has been declining, if that makes sense.
Okay. Try and share a little bit more about that, please.
Right. Okay.
Give us an example.
Yeah. Let me try and articulate that. I'm spending less time being active because it's hazardous and it can make me anxious if it's a bad sight day. So I'm climbing fewer hills and I'm driving less and I'm doing fewer adventurous things, if you like. You know, I don't ride my bike and things like that. And I think I'm doing more of the spoken word instead. And as I do more of it, I'm learning more things, different ways of articulating experiences. The last few podcasts I've done, for example, they've all been about the ocular melanoma because that's the biggest thing in my life right now. And it's a journey of exploration because there's no, like you were saying, there's no set pathway for these things. Everybody's experience is different because there's so few people experience this. And so I've been able to reflect on that journey and try and articulate the journey in ways that I never imagined that I would. So I've moved from doing entertainment radio and entertainment podcasting into something more human, something that might mean more to people going through a similar kind of journey, whether it's ocular melanoma or any other big health issue.
Yeah. I mean, so much of it is relatable and
Yeah.
crosses so many borders, and you can kind of empathize
Yep.
with a massive community of people out there who
Brilliant.
have all been given a diagnosis. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a rare cancer
No.
diagnosis, just a diagnosis of something that is going to change your life, because it does. It genuinely stops you in your tracks, makes you sit back and take stock of your life, the people who are in your life, things that are around you, and how I think you want things to be moving forward. I'm not saying it makes you selfish, but I think you really do realize what's important to you.
I agree, and I feel that doing things like this, for example, this podcast, the one that I do, public speaking as well, sharing the story, I kind of think to myself, well, okay, so this is a bad set of circumstances, but I'm still here, which is a testament to the skills of the medical teams around us. Maybe there's something useful that I can share. Maybe there's other people could benefit from hearing these stories and experiences, because I don't know about you, but when this all started, I didn't find all of the answers everywhere I looked by any means. And because everyone has their own unique journey, there's no set kind of guide. Well, this will happen at this time, and this is what you do about it. And then this will happen, and this is what you do about it. It's not like that at all. And I've been profoundly moved when I've received responses from people who've heard the story, when they've acknowledged, yeah, that's really helped. It's helped me understand my journey. I did one example. I did a public fundraiser last summer, and I was asked to share my story on stage in front of hundreds and hundreds of people, which was a real honor, and I felt very humble to be asked to do that. But I tell you what, looking people in the eye while you're doing it, compared to doing a podcast in my home studio talking into a microphone, it was quite profound, because as I was reciting my story and my journey and how things were going at that point, 2 years in, and I realized looking in front of me that everybody's eyes, they were on me,
Yeah.
and I could see a couple of people hugging each other. And I just thought, wow, this is such a profound thing. And not everybody there was a cancer patient. Many people were, but not everybody. It's family members, it's friends. It hits everybody. It's
Mm.
not just the patient, it's
No,
everyone around you.
absolutely. And I think sharing stories like yours, ours,
Yeah.
in a community setting or over broadcast, or I mean, people will find you and I chatting here today, commenting on how beautiful the weather is outside.
Mm,
Hopefully it will reach somebody inside one of those rooms in Moorfields or
mm.
up in Liverpool who's sitting there thinking, I think I feel like the only person in the world right now. Actually, no, you're not. And
And
and I hope that offers a little bit of support. And Ocular Melanoma UK, how did you find us? Or did we find you?
I was given a big information pack by the team up in Liverpool, and in that information pack was a leaflet to Ocular Melanoma UK, advertising the existence of the charity, the support that might be available through it, such as access to the specialist psychological support, for example, and many other things. I think maybe being a broadcaster and tuned into that kind of world, I thought, right, I'll go straight to the merch section. So I got myself my badge.
Very good.
I know. It's the little things, though. It's the little things that kind of that's your way in, I find.
Yeah.
So that was my introduction to your work. Yeah,
And have you used any of our services at all? You have. And
yeah,
how, I'm not going to ask you any personal details,
sure.
but I'm interested for you to share how beneficial it can be.
Okay. The first thing I did, and I don't know whether it's just me or being a bloke or whatever, I thought I'll just look from afar, look from a distance. And so I looked at the website, downloaded the materials. I think I ordered a pack of like different leaflets that you guys do with information about it. And I digested all of that, read it all back to front, inside out, did a bit of research around it. I was just trying to hoover up everything I could because I could see that, okay, this is a credible source of information here, and I want to find out what people know and what people go through. And after a short while, I thought, you know what, I need to speak to a human about this. There's only so much I can take from looking at my phone screen at 3 a.m. I need to speak to somebody about it. So I did. So I accessed some of the specialist support, and my employer was fantastic and gave me the time each week for a number of weeks to go off and hide somewhere in the school and have these telephone appointments. And the difference was over time, it was great. I mean, I was equipped with skills that I never knew I needed to deal with to deal with the circumstances, because I don't know about everyone, but for me, I can still see the melanoma right now because it's right in the middle of my vision.
Yep.
I can see it when I
Likewise.
blink. Yeah, I
Yep.
can see it when my eyes are open. I can't forget about it. I
No.
can't put it to the back of my mind because it's there, and it's
Mm.
there even if my eyes are closed. I could see the shape of it
Yeah.
before I saw the shape of it on the scan photographs. I thought, that's what I've been staring at. I've been looking at it. I can see it, and that's quite a thing.
It
And
is,
so,
and yeah, it's odd,
yeah,
isn't it, when you close your eyes?
yeah,
I close my eyes and I can see the shape of the plaque.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
always there. Yeah.
And we addressed that specifically with some of the support. I said, look, I can't escape from this thing. I,
Okay.
I try and overdo it at work by keeping super busy and keeping involved and doing what I always did. And I'm not going to be beaten by this thing. That was my attitude. Um, And eventually there are days and there are times pretty much in every day where things do catch up, and you do catch yourself sitting there and thinking and going down rabbit holes. And the strategies that were taught to me to try and overcome that and manage it and deal with it and bat it off to one side, I got those from nowhere else. That came from speaking to somebody who knows, speaking to a human and not looking at my phone screen.
No, and
Oh,
those strategies become incredibly useful
mm.
around scanning time in particular.
Yes.
I think you and I are both very lucky. We are scanned with MRIs.
Mm.
But Scanxiety, that's a real thing. Who knew that was a word, hey?
Exactly. Scanxiety, anxiety around being scanned. And it's not just us, it's the people around us, because they all know it's coming as well. It's like
Yeah.
this storm that moves into your household once every 6 months. And you go through a process, the anxiety, the scanxiety, it builds and builds and builds. And then you go for the scans and they tell you you're okay, and you take a deep breath and then you relax, and that's it for another 6 months. And I find it's like a kind of a short-term contract in the workplace. I used to do a lot of contract work in my radio career before I switched to education. And it was always 12-month contracts, 6-month contracts. And it was exactly the same feeling as you're counting down towards the end of the contract, or in this case, counting down towards the next scans. You start thinking, will it be okay this time? Will it not? If it's not, what am I going to do? Where's the will? Is it ready? Are the bank accounts in order? Is everything okay? And all of these things go rushing through your head. That's
Yeah.
the anxiety. What's it going to be like? What if it's bad news? Oh my, all of these things go round and round and round, and then you get your ticket of hopefully they sign you off again for another 6 months, and you take a deep breath, and that's it. Forget about it for a while, and off you go.
And the people
Right.
around you are saying, oh, just breathe while you're in there. And you're thinking, that is the one thing I'm not able to do, because you got to hold your damn breath while you're in the scanner.
Yeah, it's yeah. You're not breathing, you're not moving, you don't want to flinch, you don't want to blink, which makes you want to blink even more.
Yeah.
Of course.
And then you get an itch somewhere. That's it. You've had it. And no matter how much
Guaranteed.
you try not to think about that itch, it gets
Yeah.
worse and worse and
Yeah.
worse. And then you've got to hold your breath again. You're like, no.
Yeah. And then I often get the questions, and this is it's almost endearing, and I don't take it in a bad way at all. But frequently, the people who are operating the machines, they'll say, "So, a choroid melanoma, then? What's one of those then?"
Yeah.
Well,
why are we
let me
scanning your
tell
liver
you.
if you've got eye cancer?
Yeah,
Don't.
yeah. So let me
Just-
tell you. Buckle up.
just-
Here
Yeah.
comes the story.
How long have you got?
Yeah, yeah. But that's nice though, and I quite enjoy the conversation. I share what I know, and they share what they know, and we put it together. And I think, well, I've learned something more, and they've learned something more, and off you go. Yeah, Scanxiety. What a ride.
At the beginning, before we actually came on air, you mentioned, because I asked you how your vision was and which eye it was, because it's a standard question. You ask another Amy, oh, which eye is it? And actually, is it still your eye?
Yeah.
And you mentioned something, which I think you said, but something. What is it? What's wrong with you? What have you got? Something new you've never heard of?
So at the time of recording this, I've just done another load of scans, and we're trying to work out how to kind of articulate the latest twist in what's going on. So I've got something called, back in January, they picked up something called radiation retinopathy, which means that at the back of my eye where the melanoma is, where it was treated by the proton beam, it knackers the blood vessels at the back of your eye.
It's
And
not
they
happy,
said,
is it?
yeah, and they said when they grow back around this time, they grow back faulty because they've been treated with radiation, and they can burst. Oh God, don't use words like that. So you won't feel anything, but what happens basically is your eye can cloud over, and that's when you start losing your vision. And they picked up the first signs of that, and the consultant showed me the photos. He said, look, you see all these little lines? Those are the little capillaries, and you see these little splats? That's where they're starting to burst.
So
Okay.
technical. So
I know. I
the
know.
splat on the capillary.
Yeah, he,
Yeah.
he got the pitch just right for me.
Okay,
So I
perfect.
understood that, and he said some patients the decline is very very rapid indeed. Some patients it can take years, and some somewhere in between. So we can't tell you how quickly this is going to happen. So that was back January, February. By March, there was a big shift. And that was when I was starting to bump into furniture, bump into people. Really frustrating, quite unnerving, actually. And I was trying to articulate and trying to understand myself what was going on because I couldn't really put it into words. I could see clutter around my vision. There was the misjudging distances sometimes, the physical risk of bumping into people and things. And as I was describing this to the ophthalmologist, they started saying, well, this sounds like something called binocular fusion. So think of a pair of binoculars that you look through if you're bird spotting or looking at the stars. Binocular, you've got two eyes. There's the binocular vision. The fusion is about each eye bringing together the two images to one, and your eye is not quite matching up. So the fusion isn't happening. So you're not quite getting double vision. That would be
Mhm.
quite severe, but you're getting a lot of clutter in certain areas of the eye, which is making you feel dizzy. It's making you, and I said, well, why am I feeling so exhausted, like utterly exhausted? I'm not, I work hard. I always have worked hard. I like doing what I do. I'm very fortunate to do what I do. Why am I suddenly feeling so utterly exhausted? He says, because of the eye problem here, because you're working overtime, your brain is working 4 times faster just to try and see where you're going. So just the act of being in a busy place tires you out more quickly because you're working overtime just to make sure that the table is where you think it is and that moving person is where you think they are, and it's not always coming together. And when you're tired, that's when things are going wrong. So that was what, once we were able to articulate that, the stage we're at the moment, at the time of recording this, as I'm waiting for a whole load of advice and strategies to come back to me so we can work out how to cope with this twist in the story. So
And you're hoping for guidance on how to live and adjustments that can be made for your work, for your personal life, for
yeah,
everything around this further gift that
yes,
has
exactly that. Yeah.
landed with the diagnosis.
Yeah. What I find is somebody said to me, they could have said that at the start. And what I've learned over these 3 years is there are so many different things that could happen. I think it must be deliberate not to tell every single patient, here are all of the things that could possibly happen to you. Memorize that lot. I think it's a case of waiting and seeing what happens to the individual and then coming up with a plan for that individual. And I feel reassured that the people who are supporting me, they know their stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm confident they'll come up with another plan for me, like they did for me after my initial treatment. It was the same kind of situation. Things were changing. It was all uncharted territory, and the people around me said, right, well, do this, do that. Here's what you do. Here's some software to use at school which will read for you. Here's some transcripting software that will write things down if you just talk into the computer. Things that I'd never knew existed before, but they're all out there and they're ready to go if you need it.
Yeah, very much so. And that's the kind of practical sitting down, working side of it. But walking through a corridor of children with rucksacks on their backs and they're all coming out of places. And I don't have
Yeah.
the pleasure or hell of being in that environment at all. But train stations, I absolutely loathe, and in fact will not travel on my own to a train station because you get bumped into, you get knocked over, and you feel so
Yeah.
disorientated. Sometimes you just think, I'm going to fall over because stuff's in the wrong place.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff's in the wrong place, people in the wrong places. Everybody's rushing about. It's not deliberate. If someone's knocked into me or if I've knocked into somebody else, if someone knocks into me, I think to myself, well, look, there are times where that's always happened. It's not their fault. People are just rushing about doing their thing. I feel terribly guilty if I knock into somebody else. I
Yes.
really beat myself up over that. But I've been discovering there are things that I can do that you can get these lanyards that say hidden disability. So you might
Oh,
look
the
okay on the
sunflower.
outside. Yes, yeah, yeah. I've had one of those in an airport once. It was great. It really
Yeah.
helped. Actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does
Um,
really help. I mean, people kind of take the mickey out of the sunflower lanyard.
yeah.
I've got one in my car, and if it's
Yeah.
too busy, when I get out of the car, on it goes.
Yeah.
It sounds awful. I loved it when I broke my ankle because I actually had a stick. I had my crutches,
Right.
and it was there, and people just avoid you slightly. I did a wonderful
Yes.
podcast with Naomi Riches, our
Mm.
Paralympian,
Oh,
and
yeah. So
she
inspiring.
yeah,
Mm.
she doesn't use her cane very often, but
Mm.
in busy places, it just tells other people that you just need to have a little bit more care and concern and actually be a little bit more mindful in
Mm.
moving around. I
Yeah.
think it's definitely taught me that. Teaching, what would you tell anybody starting on this journey now anew?
Don't panic. There's a lot of support out there. I would say, let's be real. You are going to experience every emotion, all of it, several times a day for many days. You will probably overthink things. You'll want to know, you'll want to go searching online and look at things that you know you shouldn't be looking at, but you look anyway because it's there. Write things down as you experience it and feel it. I've learned that can be really invaluable when you get the opportunity to speak to a professional who knows their stuff. Take in a little list of symptoms with you, and you can hand it over and just say, look, this is what I've been going through. What do you make of this? And I offer that advice because I've tried going to appointments without them and without a list, and I've come out thinking, oh, I didn't mention this, or I didn't mention that. And keep a note of everything that goes on. The journey. You won't remember everything. You won't remember every appointment, every piece of advice. Try and take notes as you go along, and that can be very grounding when things might feel overwhelming. Which there will be days when there'll just be a lot going on, and the people around you they will know there's a lot going on. There'll be a lot going on for them as well, being there for you and supporting you. So don't panic. Access the support, the expertise, keep a track of what's going on, and you will be okay.
Thank you, Julian.
Thank you.
If you or someone you know has been affected by the topics discussed in this episode, support and information are available. You can visit Ocular Melanoma UK at www.omuk.org for guidance, resources to connect with our helpline, and others who understand. Remember, no one should face ocular melanoma alone.